All right. It is at the top of the hour, and we're so excited to welcome you and to say good morning. I'm saying good morning from Dallas, Texas. It's day 11 of the Choose Your Hard Challenge. And we want to start with a reminder that tomorrow is Friday. So don't forget to fill out your Friday check-in form. You can find that in the app. And this is going to actually enter you for a $50 drawing. So don't miss out on doing that and keeping yourself accountable. So we've been giving you lots of tools and techniques every day to help you achieve success with your health goals and your dreams. Are you starting to feel that groove? Are you starting to feel empowered? I know I am just really feeling in flow and feeling amazing and so excited to be here with you this morning. And I want to start day 11 with a fun question. Type a WW in the chat if there are any other Wonder Woman fans out there. Is anyone else, was Wonder Woman your favorite superhero? Put me in the chat. I see some people here. I want to share my screen here real quick. There we go. I grew up with the older Wonder Woman, the Linda Carter era. And I loved watching her because she was so beautiful and she was so confident and powerful in her fight to bring peace to the world. And her mind and her body were so quick and agile in responding to danger. And one of the coolest things was she could use those bracelets or those gauntlets to deflect bullets that came speeding at her from all directions. And I just always thought that was so amazing. Like I wanted some bracelets like that. Today, we want to talk to you about becoming bulletproof like Wonder Woman, but against something that is coming at you multiple times a day. And that is stress. S-T-R-E-S-S. Those are our bullets that hit us multiple times throughout the day. So typically, we think of stress as something negative or something bad. But stress at its most basic level is a survival response designed to actually help us. So when we feel threatened or in danger, our body produces chemicals and hormones designed to help us fight or take flight. And for our ancestors, it's actually what helped them survive that saber-toothed tiger that was charging at them. But for today, it can help us keep us from getting hit by a bus in the street. You know, we have that, we're going to jump out of the way, and we have those chemicals and hormones helping us, give us that energy to make that happen. And it actually helps us get stuff done, to improve, and helps us grow. And sometimes we actually need to thank our body for those stress chemicals. But however, in large doses and over long periods of time, this can actually begin to make a number of consequences, of negative consequences on our body. So under stress, our bodies temporarily suspend normal function of otherwise important systems like immunity and digestion. And so anxiety, depression, heart disease, and memory impairment can even arise from not managing our stress. I'm sure many of you have experienced maybe in the past where stress has derailed you from your health, working on your health goals. So managing your stress can actually be a key factor in reaching and maintaining a healthy weight. So how do we become bulletproof like Wonder Woman against this stress in our life? We've been giving you lots of tips on how to do things like control your reactions with the technique of stop, challenge, and choose, and how to set your sleep up for success, and how to get movement in with your body every day, all of which can help you better deal with stress in your life. But today we're going to zoom out a little bit and look at the bigger picture. And it might surprise you that we're going to talk about fulfillment and success. So I have some questions for you to think about. These are big questions. Are you truly happy in your life right now? Are you doing what you really want? Are you financially successful? Can you do the things you want and have the things you want? Are you organizing your life around what matters most to you? So let's take a look at this slide. Right here, showing the failure success continuum. Where would you say you are on this continuum? You can see there's numbers 1 through 10, with 10 being over on the failure side, and 1 being over on the failure side, 10 being on the success side. And these are kind of the external things that we measure, the more material factors like finances, your job, your standing in the community. So 1 would be like on Skid Row, out of a job, in debt, poor health, poor relationships, etc. And a 10 would be maybe you have a job with lots of digits on your paycheck, money to do whatever you want with, and you're well respected in your community. Basically, you're a rock star, right? So now let's look at this next continuum, which is the depression fulfillment continuum, and figure out where you are on this. So down here at a number 1, this is where you, if you are in a place where you feel hopeless, purposeless, depressed, and moving up all the way to the 10 would be being happy, fulfilled, full of passion, a life full of purpose and meaning, having days that are filled with what you love to do. Now, let's put them together and figure out what quadrant that lands you in. So look at the X and Y axis. Maybe you have a job that you really are not enjoying, and it's not covering your expenses, and it's putting a strain on your marriage. You would probably be over in this burned out category where depressed and failure come together. Let's say you went back to school and you got an advanced degree, and now you have this amazing job that's bringing in a lot of money, but you're not able to spend time with your family, and it's still putting a strain at home. You might be over here in the worn out category between success and depression. Let's say maybe you're raising a pretty awesome family, but you're struggling with your health. You might be over here in this contented quadrant. And over here in the thriving quadrant is kind of where we're all shooting for, where you have, you're spending your days doing the things that you want. You're enjoying your job and success, and feeling fulfilled in every sense of the word. So as you are identifying where you fall in that quadrant, we're going to launch an anonymous poll where we can kind of get an idea of where you're falling. So you can click on burned out, worn out, contented, or thriving. And we're going to pull this back up to show the results in a few minutes. But while you're filling that out, I want to go to the next slide and show you kind of a real life example of how we actually often in our lives move around these different quadrants. So I love reading about Dr. A and his mission to start helping people and kind of his history. So just to give you a little of his background, in 1986, Dr. Anderson was coming off of his fellowship in critical care, and he felt ready to take on the world in his quest to become the best physician. And he threw himself into his work, staying up all night in the operating room and intensive care unit. And he was single and driven by the satisfaction that his work gave him. And even, you know, when his patients' lives may have hung in the balance, he still felt little stress. In fact, the toughest cases only fueled his passion and his finance and his position. He was the chief of His department and his level of fulfillment all contributed to great health in his life, and he was in that thriving quadrant. But fast forward several years later, he was married, had children at home, and he was starting to feel like he was missing out on a lot of his children's life and feeling stress from that. He was also experiencing a change in philosophy stemming from his growing desire to help others create health rather than merely react to disease. So he had sunk into that worn out quadrant of the wellness chart. Fortunately for him and for us, he did something about that. And he wanted to align himself with what was most important. And he knew what was most important wasn't a big car or a position that was respected. Instead, it was family and a desire to help others grow with their health. So taking this step put him back in that fulfillment scale, moving back up that fulfillment scale. But financially, he wasn't paid for several years, and there were some risks involved. So he was in that contented quadrant. But then fast forward about 8 years as Optavia started growing and becoming successful. He's moving into that fulfillment phase. And 12 years later, now over 2 million people have had their health affected by Optavia and Dr. A's choice. And last year, Optavia was 2020's in Forbes magazine. It was named the second fastest growing company in the world. So that's pretty cool that seeing how Dr. A has moved all the way from thriving and around the circle and back to thriving again. So just thinking about my own personal journey about 5 years ago, before I found Optavia, I don't think I even knew, but I was a little bit in that burned out state also, and struggling with my health and not contributing to our family finances much, and having a lot of days where I felt like there was something more that I could be doing to contribute to my little world around me and helping others, but I had no idea how to do that. But as I found Optavia and started finding those answers that I had been struggling with for years with my health, I started feeling better physically, mentally, and emotionally, and made that decision to step in to help others. Over the last 5 years, I've found myself moving into that thriving quadrant and just feeling so excited to have meaning and purpose that I never thought possible. So now let's pull up those poll results and see where we all are. So we've got about 7% in the burned out and about 25% in the worn out. And most of us are kind of in that contented area, about 53%, and then about 21% in the thriving. So we want to talk today about some ways to help you move in, to reflect and move into that thriving category. So now you have a rough idea of where you are. So I want you to set aside some time today to think about what really matters most to you in terms of both of those continuums that we looked at. And once you determine what you want, start to think about what's keeping you from it. You may have to admit, sometimes this is kind of hard for us. It's an awakening. You may have to admit that your job is sucking enjoyment out of your life and that it's time to find a new opportunity. Remember, it's twice as important to love what you do on a daily basis than some of those other factors. You may find that you have to set some boundaries with certain people in your life who are constantly a negative influence on you. You may consider taking up a new hobby or going back to school or finding new ways to spend time with your family and friends. Explore your interests and your talents, and I encourage you to find your passion. I want to encourage you, since all of you who are on here are interested in your health and learning how to incorporate that in your life, if helping others come along that journey with you sounds like it might be fulfilling for you or add that meaning and purpose, I just really encourage you to be open to exploring that with us and seeing how that could possibly help you. But most importantly, I want to encourage you to not let stress define your life. You should define your life, and you have the power to make your vision a reality. As you do, you can become bulletproof with those bracelets, like Wonder Woman, deflecting the stress that comes along in your life and on that path to becoming the dominant force in your life. And thank you for joining today.